Sir?
You know, I know I'm making ground when somebody calls me sir. Usually I hit him with the sir. The rapport's deepened. He hit me with the sir. Sir, we're back.
We're back. It's good to be here. An improbable time to be recording, but...
I mean, hey. Is it really, though? Because we've been all over the place. In a good way.
But
you know what I'm saying? Getting it done when we... Oh. That's quick. That's quick. You thought the extra little stickiness in the room today would have that staying up. It's not. But in a good way, we're getting it in when we have to. We're taking care of business when we got to get it done, you know. And that's all you can ask for.
Because what does it take?
What it takes.
It takes what it takes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to be here again. We got 99... As of this, right in this moment, we have 99 subscribers on our YouTube. So go subscribe to More Than Different on YouTube. All our videos, all our podcast episodes, full recordings, a lot of shorts so you can see shorter content from
Little
each.
nuggets.
Little nuggets
nuggets.
from each episode to kind of give you a glimpse into some of the stuff we talk about and entice you to want to go watch the whole thing because... it's been a great journey thus far. This is 10. This is a big one. 10.
Double digits.
Double
trying
digits.
to get to triple digit subs.
Yes.
And what you, just to let every full ep listener know, on our shorts, the episode video is linked below, so you can click right to it if you like what is contained in that short, so you can watch the full discussion.
Awesome. Yeah, 100 subscribers. Again, small goals.
Small goals.
Create momentum. We entered this summer. That seemed a little far away. We've had the More Than Different YouTube for a bit, but not posting at this prolific of a rate in any of our 3-4 years prior. So it's been great to see some growth, but 100 will feel good. So somebody be that 100th, go be that 100th, go be the 100th first, and so on. Road to 200 subscribers begins now. Okay. Faithful's growing.
Small goal, but you're adamant, and that's all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
They're attainable. Just takes resilience.
I guess so. SOB wanted to talk about today, and he really, really suavely brought us up.
That was really smooth.
Really smoothly brought us in there. But last step, talking all about authenticity, right? One thing which we didn't really touch on back there was the topic B wanted to bring up today, and that's a balance of resilience and vulnerability. And it's like, to me, you know, there's a difference between being vulnerable and expressing who you are. They can be hand in hand, and you can be vulnerable in expressing who you are. We talked about that a lot last step. But also, you know, too much repression, too much internalization just backs things up, I'll just say. And so it's like...
It does. It's the story you tell,
yeah,
right? To an extent.
Which we talked about. And so to me, it's like, and I'll let you speak right after this, it's like, how do we balance showing our true colors, maybe being honest about our weaknesses, you know, our vulnerabilities as humans, because, you know, even the most sparkly of figures, athletes, you know, political candidates, whoever, educators, like everybody has those weaknesses, everybody has those human qualities and those imperfections. And it's like, how do you show those things but not let them define you and control that story? How can you be resilient against them, but also mature enough to show those things to the people that you trust so that they can help you with them?
It's very eloquently said.
Thank you, sir. I thought I was tired today.
No, I think you found your
I guess I just click
found
in,
your fastball
It's like
early.
when Kobe, you know, shoulder
Aggressive.
hurt before the game, but, you know.
Aggressive out of the gates. That's what you got to be.
Gary Vitti
But
getting that tape.
it is. It's being vulnerable feels like it's become something to really celebrate. And in some regards, it absolutely is.
Right.
And it takes courage to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of admiration in those who have come out and been pioneers of opening up about mental health and sports or in all forms of life and how that is real.
Right. Redefining the, I guess, paradigm of like honesty and expression.
Yes.
Which is positive.
Which
we're not knocking at all.
Which is so positive.
Right.
But just like with anything, where do you draw the line of where vulnerability has become such a buzzword and
buzz state
like, and almost a justification for
lack of
maybe action and acceptance of like where you're at and feeling almost powerless. And so
lack of acceptance of your power to change the situation.
Right.
And to be able to take on things yourself.
Yes, things you're vulnerable about. So that's what I'll say about that. And with that, I think we're not preaching the importance of resilience enough at times, because yes, you need to, and being able to have people around you who you can be vulnerable with and admit like, yo, this is really, I mean, I just did it to you. We have our tournament coming up and I'm telling you all the things I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Stressed, I'm anxious, it's, it gets to me, but from the outside it might be, oh dude, he can't wait, all he'll talk about is that.
Right.
It's like, dude, I'm nervous. That's a little vulnerability. What if it doesn't do? But so having people that you can open up to about all different things, I tell you about a lot of baggage, but it's also like you need people who also will encourage you, like, yo, you got to push through a little bit. You got to have a little resilience here. Things get hard. You got to know how to navigate hard, because problems never go away. They just change. So we need to learn how to be more resilient, to welcome and handle challenges, rather than always, use vulnerability as a justification to almost feel like stuck. It's like, but again, vulnerability is also a very ambiguous thing. What that entails, that everyone has physical things they're vulnerable about, that are insecure about. I mean, what's the difference between being vulnerable and insecure?
Honestly, it could just be the expression of that.
Right.
It's like insecure seems like it's almost inherently tied to like an anxiety. And typically the anxiety is like feeling alone, feeling like things around you are unfolding. And so it's like, that's not to say that if you do express those weaknesses or those things that you are concerned about, your anxiety is just going to go away. But either talking about them to yourself in your journal or to other people, it just gets you out of your head a little more, and it gets you in a I'm articulating what my problems are, what the real experience I'm having in my environment is. It's not as immovable. It's not as insurmountable. It's just a structure in my mind, and it's something that can be overcome and worked on. And I think the first step in actually getting to the point where you're taking actions and overcoming those things, whatever they are, is to get comfortable being somebody who has that problem, accepting that problem, expressing it as something that is a weakness genuinely in you. And then it's like, okay, now all we look for is what actions can I take to overcome those things and, build that resiliency against that story that my mind is trying to tell me that, oh, I can't solve this, I can't pass this obstacle, I'll never be better than this limitation. All of that is arbitrary and contrived by your mind, in my opinion.
I think both forms can generate a sense of power in yourself. If you can comfortably be vulnerable to whether it's to people and admit things. And this is why, and I know this was going to be our episode, but it will come. It's why like a journal to me is so valuable, because it's a space where you can be as vulnerable as you want, but it's not an actual person who now knows this knowledge and could then project it. Like either you don't have any trust issues or something. You can write it all out. You don't need to impress. They're not going to talk back. They're just there to receive. And just sometimes saying it out loud, even to yourself, it's like you got these things in your head that, and I have a lot of them that will bother me about myself. And it's like, but you like don't want to say it out loud. So I'll write it or I'll say it out loud. I'm like, wow, okay. I feel a little more powerful knowing I was able to admit that about myself, or that I am insecure, or a little bit self-conscious about this thing, and I kind of want to keep it hidden from people. So now that you were able to admit it, and maybe that's again to yourself in a journal, to somebody else ultimately is the best feeling, because then you're like, wait, I'm not alone. I feel supported, and people like will listen to me and empower me. So that can be really, that can generate a lot of like sense of comfortability, and again, feeling of pride and knowing you can be your authentic self. But you also can generate a whole lot of power by dealing with facing your own problems, not feeling like the victim, and seeing yourself get through hard things. That is how you build confidence in yourself. We've talked about this in a different form. But to me, I think that's how, you know, you build confidence in knowing you can navigate a myriad of life's challenges that'll come at you by seeing yourself deal with things that are hard and navigate them well. But you need both, and that's kind of what this conversation is how do you find that balance of, look, you got to be able to be vulnerable and admit to things that maybe drive some of your actions or lack thereof, but you also have to have an ability to be resilient and not fold when things get hard, and not feel like the victim when things aren't going well for you. Too much victimhood going on out here.
Several things come to mind that string together. It's like there is that, and we've up until this point talked around it, there is that progression of, okay, in these pages, it's private, I can take this first step on admitting these things outside of the voice of my mind, admit them to myself. Then it's like, and I think, you know, an extension of journaling is finding people who also journal, who understand that space, who know what that practice does for them, who are familiar with being with themselves in that way, and then talking to them maybe in a book club, like journal club type of way, like, yo, this is what I was journaling about. And it doesn't have to be everything, because those things can be private, legitimately, and intimate about yourself. And so it's not like, okay, how vulnerable can I be? It's like, settle down, chief. But it's also like, yo, do you have these people who understand that and who can actually empathize and provide you that real social circle of support that we always talk of, to help you see new perspectives, to help encourage you to, you know, focus on the real action that you might want to take to overcome these things. And so I feel like those people that do engage in that practice like you, or have been longer than you, if you're just like, because you know what it was like, and I know more recently than you do, although I'm sure the memory is somewhat vivid, of what it is like to get into that journaling space. I mean, it's like, you know,
it's crazy.
It's like when you are a mid-range player in middle school, you start stepping back to the tray ball. It's uncomfortable. You're in a new land.
You are.
And you're exploring, and then soon enough, with enough reps, enough time in that space, you get comfortable off dribble, step backs, all this and that. You get comfortable with all the different flicks of the pen and the wrist. Ooh,
well done.
Metaphorical.
Yeah, and it comes in waves too. I think I told you last time I saw you that I was like, I've been in this, like my journal has legitimately been a integral part of me feeling like I'm stable and at my best the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot going on in my mind.
Right.
It's like, whoa, this actually is incredible. But then you go through the motions of doing it day after day after day. And we talked about this off air. Do you let things muck up for a while and then let it all out? Or do you maintain the pattern of doing it every day? Not something crazy is going to happen every day, so there might not be all that much to talk about. I went through a stretch, I remember being like, Jesus, I'm going to read back on this because my goal is one day to read back on it, write a book. Hopefully I got a good story to tell. If not, I won't write it. But I do worry a couple of those journals where I'll be looking through like, geez, nothing happened between this whole journal. It was just like, I woke up, got my workout in, whatever. Verse, do you let it pile up? But when I let it pile up, I feel even more erratic. And just being able to get it out. So what I'd say is that there is a big difference. We talked about, I asked you the question of insecurity versus vulnerability. I think they are a lot different, and certainly how they're expressed is way different. And similarly, I think being vulnerable does not make you necessarily a victim, or doesn't make you necessarily take on the victim mentality. I think feeling like a victim is different as well, because we all have vulnerabilities, we all have weaknesses, we all have things that affect us
that we shy away from,
that
they make us uncomfortable.
Yes.
They might expose
Right.
expose a lack of work.
Right. And so vulnerability could be like expressing that, hey, this is something, like it's almost being aware of something that is a weakness of yours, and that you're like, I don't know how to address it, but I need to admit it to somebody.
Right.
So that takes courage.
The first step.
I think feeling like a victim, and there's a lot of context to being a victim. There's real victims
levels
of things, as I think people can understand that. But being around people who just complain, you don't talk about people you don't want to be around, but people who just complain about things that are going on in their life, and then it's that time of year. It's like the victim Olympics, who can get a head start on the other one?
Who's going for gold?
Who has it worse?
Like who has the more unsolvable problems, the biggest obstacles. It's
or smallest in this case, because again, like we're saying, very not to be naive or ignorant. There are people who have lots.
I'm saying like the things that they blow up.
Oh my God! Like there's a lot of. I have some people I'm around, and it just feels like it's a complaint fest. There's nothing worse than being around people or complainers, and to run with our consistency of basketball analogies. I think the best one is when you're a teammate, and it takes. I'm in a situation where I do play a lot, but I was on a team in AAU my junior year, and I still had a big role in the team, but I was one of the bottom guys. The only guy who played Division III, actually. Me and one other. And so many of those guys are still my best friends, which is awesome. And they'll be on my team at the MTD tournament, so watch out. We're taking that chip. The throne will be claimed. But nonetheless, I remember it got hard, and I remember I would talk to you about it because it was like I wasn't playing as much. I felt like, am I showing the best me? But through it all, and I'm glad I was aware of it in the moment, and my coach obviously helped me with that too, but it was like, I want to be a great teammate. I'm not going to show this. I'm not going to project that I'm like a victim to this situation. One, because, hey, if we're being dead honest and we want to talk about vulnerabilities too, it's like, yo, I'm not as good as some of these guys. So am I going to sit here and now feel like the victim? I'm not playing. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the guys in front of you. There's nothing to feel bad about. If you don't play well when you go in,
it's
you're
not
gonna,
for no reason.
Yes, you're gonna get pulled because guess what? There's three Division I guards on the bench while you're playing. So if you're not good when you're in, fuck yeah, we're throwing in a replacement. And I always knew I was a damn good teammate, at least on that team, and I hope still my teammates think of that. But and I know how much that matters because I'm now on teams, and I've, looking back, I won't even say my team now, but you get guys who things aren't going as well for them, and they project it onto like other people on the team, or they show it in their body language, screaming, I'm a victim to this situation. This is bullshit. I'm not playing. I'm getting the short end of the stick. I'm getting fucked. And as a result, you're then not happy for anyone else's success. You're not celebrating others' success.
Yeah.
And so when yours does come, because it will, because when you celebrate others, it just comes back to you. Mm-hmm. It does. It's got a weird way coming back to you. But when yours comes, people are like, you were a dick when I was doing well. Yeah. You didn't care. You were just sulking about yourself.
Right. There's no bond.
There's no bond.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's like in moments where you might feel like the victim, you got to look internally a little bit first. What am I doing that might be not aligning with the situation that I'm in? Am I doing what I can? Is there something that's uncontrollable that I need to accept and just be okay with? Yeah. Or am I just going to use that as my justification to act like an asshole of a teammate, or be a person you carry yourself in life that just complains about shit?
Yeah, right.
It's nothing worse than people complaining. We all do it at times. And I catch myself. I'm like, dude, why am I complaining so much? This is the worst energy to project. It's not contagious. Or it is contagious, but it's bad type of contagious.
Yeah, I think that's a really great example. And the first place my mind goes to is, okay, teammate is basically the same thing as like friend.
It is.
In social circles. And for me, it's like, whether you're faced with problems that you express to your teammates or your friends that are not your fault and are bullshit, or they're things that, are bigger than they are because of what you tell yourself, or just, aren't really as bad. It's like, it doesn't even matter, because a friend and a great teammate, whether they're top dog or 15th man, leads by example by saying fuck it, accepting those things, and being resilient through them.
Yes.
And it's like, humans are very social, and they feed on that energy. And so it's like, if you're in a tough situation, like let's say, like I remember from reading my Kobe notes from Mama Mentality recently, he said every great team has to have an asshole coach or star player. And it's interesting how I would also say like maybe like a story. And so it's like either like the coach is the villain, or this player's the villain, or you guys can all rally around the story of like, we're going for the chip or something like that. And so there's an accountability there where like, if everybody centers around this one piece in the middle, and that's the goal, that's what they're striving toward, there's an inherent guilt. And like, if other people hold them accountable, it can be like a legitimate structure in the locker room or social circle of like, what are you doing, bro? Like, this energy is trash. You're fucking up the team. You're fucking up the momentum. Like, that's not what we do here. Like, we put our head down and we face this shit. We support each other, of course, and we discuss our problems and the team's weaknesses, vulnerabilities, or internally and personally. But it's like, regardless of who you are, you're part of a unit. And it's like, do you just accept your challenges and put your head down, or do you complain? And I think that word has a very specific connotation of like throwing your hands up and then just like ranting about your problems, and then just like sitting in the corner like this.
Yeah. No,
it's that's complaining. It's like, you can confide your problems to somebody, but it's like, how do you lead by example? And, when you walk away from that conversation and lace up your kicks, or when you go to practice the next day,
a lot of the best,
your next day at work, whatever it is.
A lot of the best leaders are resilient.
Right, and they lead by example. They take that shit on themselves. Like Mike said in Last Dance, he never asked his teammates to do something that he wouldn't do himself, that he didn't do himself.
Right, I saw a clip, Dan Hurley, back-to-back national champions, UConn, talked about like the 4 things he looks for and guys he wants on his team. Talked about competitive edge, talked about, desire, like work ethic. Then he talked, this isn't verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, is he like a me guy? Is he all about himself? Is he gonna hold back the team goals because all he's thinking about is his own goals and what he wants? Is he a cancer to the team? I don't care how talented you are. If you're just getting in the way, we don't want you. And that's the same again with people you have in your life. It's like you're building your own team kind of people who don't just think about themselves and don't project everything that's wrong with them onto you. And so I think that in itself is a combination of insecurity and feeling like a victim too often and like taking that on as a kind of your own personality. Yeah. But vulnerability, I think, is way different. I think vulnerability takes courage. Right. And that takes admitting that, hey, this is something I'm weak at and it's a big shortcoming of mine and I'm scared to like face. That's fine to admit, but to be feeling like a victim to your own situation feels like you just accept that you have no power. Yeah. Or that you take no accountability as to why you're in that situation. You know, relationships end and you're like, you feel like you got done so poorly. It's like, well, maybe, but maybe you had a reason. You're a reason why that ended. Yeah. Or why that bridge was burned. Yeah. Or why it didn't work out when you went to this school and you didn't play at all. You know, maybe it wasn't all their fault. You know, I think vulnerability takes more courage and can lead, once you are willing to express that and you can garner some support from others or just from yourself in hearing your own self admit these things, whether that's in a journal, whether that's just saying it out loud. I mean, I've laid in my bed before and like just said the things I'm thinking instead of like trying to mute it in my head like it's not happening. Yeah, right. It's like, no, this is what I'm feeling, to be honest. And saying it was like, okay, wait. Now I can try to have a level of accountability to deal with this because I proved to myself or others showed support.
Yeah. One word comes to mind if you take like vulnerability on one end of the spectrum and like a victim mentality type of thing on the other end. One word comes to mind on that victim mentality end that doesn't show up in the vulnerable end, and it's entitlement. It's like, like, shut the fuck up about your problems, fam. Everybody has problems. You're not entitled to give up because you have problems. And you're not entitled to give up because the fucking friends that probably aren't great friends around you telling you that those things are legitimate and, oh, that's bullshit, bro. Oh, yeah, give up. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, you can't change this. You can't change your situation. All that shit. That all feeds into a loop of like, I don't deserve this. Like, I don't deserve this test. I don't deserve this level of difficulty in my experience. It's like, bro, where do you fucking think the value comes from in attaining hard things? It's like they understood resilience. They understood that they weren't entitled to those things, the achievers, and they sacked the fuck up. And they stopped thinking shit was guaranteed. They stopped thinking that they were entitled to greatness or success or sales, money, whatever it was. Like, you have to earn that shit. And it's a tough fucking battle on the way. But the only way through it is to put fucking armor on yourself by building scar tissue. And also having those people around you that can throw a plate on your chest when your shit breaks.
I agree completely. And I'll say this too, is feeling entitled feeling entitled leads to feeling like a victim. Here's a great example in basketball too, but this is a shitty place to be as a shooter. You could shoot so much, get so many reps in. We've talked about this before. Get so many reps in early, whenever, more reps than anyone, putting in the work that no one is. And you get in the game, you feel you approach the game almost with an entitlement, like I should make shots.
Right.
Because I just made 500 4 days this week. So I should, when the game comes, be entitled, this ball should go in because I put in the work. And when it doesn't, you're pissed, obviously.
Yeah.
But because you're approaching the game with that mindset,
So you're the centerpiece.
yeah, and you feel entitled to be making shots, naturally you're just not as good. And that's why the guys who just have irrational confidence, certainly in sports,
Which can sort of be changed to a rational resilience.
yes, where it's literally like, I'm not getting in as much work,
Right.
but guess what? I trust the work I've already put in, and I'm not even thinking about whether this ball goes
It's
in.
a rut. Like, it's shooting.
It's
You know
shooting.
what I mean? Like, fuck it. Just
And
keep working.
just-
It'll pass.
Yes, and that's the resilience of it, and that's
Yeah.
also the balance of resilience and not caring.
Yeah.
So that's a different analogy, but I agree that entitlement, just because you put in the work, you're not owed anything,
Yeah.
but naturally the people who are resilient and keep their head down and don't complain and fold when shit gets hard or you get tested, I swear you always get rewarded for that.
Yeah.
But just because you put the
100%.
work in doesn't mean you're entitled to anything. And that's, because you hear if you work hard, good things will come. Not necessarily. If you work hard and
Right. There's
deal
no
with,
guarantee.
there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Don't be entitled.
One thing that I was going to say earlier that came up now, that idea of journaling after a long time when the muck builds up versus constantly kind of window wipering that. It's like there's a patience and a constant comfort that you have with yourself when you stay in those pages and you're with yourself each day or each few days when you journal along the process, where it's like you're constantly just getting like a back rub from yourself or your friends around you. And I think another piece is like to go with that shooting basketball player, story metaphor. It's like, not only are you not guaranteed to make shots, you don't even necessarily get guaranteed looks. Like, you have to get the ball first. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have to play and adapt and shit like that. And so it's like, take it a possession at a time, a day at a time, an entry at a time into that journal. And understand that, like, every day is a possession. You got to work to get the ball. When you get the ball and, like, your whole routine goes down well, like, you could still be in, like, a fucking just uncalled for anger that day. You could have a bad lift. You could play poorly on the court. And so it's like, it's just one day.
You got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Because I agree. You could put in all the work. You get in the moment when the pressure ramps up of a game or in certain situations in life. And you're like, holy shit, this is different. I thought I was ready. I'm not. Okay. Well, feedback. That's all feedback.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to do?
Yep.
I've always said this, people will say, sometimes if you like success comes, it's easier to become complacent. I do think that it is, for me, I felt like when I have a good game, I have more of a desire to do the extra mile work the following day. So you played well, and maybe this is so common, but obviously there could be this like, I played well, I can chill now, or like show up casually the next. I can't stand people who they play well and suddenly they come up to practice just all chilling, no urgency. I play well. I have a desire if someone was like, hey, I want to get shots up the next morning early. Let's keep working.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard when things get rough or don't go well. And it's like, all right, I need to take the feedback. Things didn't go well in the game, or things didn't go well in a meeting or a job application, and I need to be better. You can't then fold and be like, I thought the work would guarantee me that I'd do well, and now I didn't, and now I'm less motivated to want to do the work. No.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fight through that, because if you can push through that, not only did you show resilience, you also learned and accepted feedback from failure or from a moment, and it's only going to make you more prepared when that opportunity comes again. And again, this is in myriad forms that aren't just sports, but sports are the best kind of analogy and best teacher.
Yeah, that made me think about that balloon metaphor that I gave a few eps ago, where you got to keep them up. And I think a piece of resilience is, how can I summon that motivation to keep winning when I am winning?
Yeah.
When the only place you can look is down, straight off a 40-piece start of the season,
I see. Like I got a little comfortable.
Right. And it's like, how do you bring out of yourself resilience against that voice, that seductive voice calling you to comfort? And it's like, it's just about a day at a time. Like I said earlier, it's like Phil said, your only success at the moment you complete a successful act. You need to resist that pull down, that challenge, whatever it is, whether it's your own mind or those around you, a shit situation that you can't control, an opponent, whatever. Like, in the moment, there is challenge. Be resilient against it. And it's like, even when you're on top, find those buttons in yourself, back to Timmy G, that you can press at any time to spark that resilience and that fight against it, that fight further upward, to climb higher. So you can only look down further. Try to keep climbing.
Yeah, because we're never arriving.
We're always becoming.
Correct. But it takes courage to be vulnerable.
Yeah, 1000%.
Preach that, and that is an important thing to have, and to be around people. We continuously talk about, who do you surround yourself with? You are, in so many ways, the people you surround yourself with. Are you around people who you trust to tell them how you're really feeling in a moment, or if something's giving you crazy anxiety or stress, or something's slowing you down? Can you say that to people? Because sometimes all we need to do is say something to someone and hear that they're like receptive of it, and maybe you're not the only one. That is a comforting thing.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and admitting that, hey, I'm struggling in some form, versus accepting that you've lost to your own circumstances. To me, that's where you become a victim. You become someone you don't want to be around, and you seem like you don't want to do the work to get yourself out of that rut.
Yeah, right. You're entitled to the rut.
Yeah. Well, you're entitled to... You're not entitled to the rut. You're entitled to the... You're entitled to... You shouldn't be in the rut, right?
Sure. Maybe, I don't know. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
Yeah,
I didn't want us to twist words.
I think one nuance in being able to admit to those around you those vulnerabilities is like... and being able to trust that and trust your circle is, in and of itself, how are they going to respond to this? Are they going to console me when it's needed? Or are they going to call me out that I'm being a victim? And bro, that's horseshit. You need to be resilient. Exactly. So it's like having the right person around you, even if it's one person, not five, because it's tough to find those people that really, are down and will really help you.
People are there, like you said.
Of course, but I'm just saying, the power of just one person's input, whether it's that consoling or that, accountability, it's like, bro, that can make an immense change. Dramatic. And just having that pressure from not want to let that teammate down, that friend down, like I mentioned earlier, it's enough to get you to the next breath.
It is.
The next possession. The next entry.
Next possession that is life.
Yeah.
Well done. I think that covers a lot. final thought would be
That was fucking flow state.
have the courage to be vulnerable, but have the awareness that it takes resilience.
Yeah, and I would bounce right off that. Anytime, you know, I found myself introspectively falling into that too much of a victim type of story in my mind. One thing that never failed me was just extreme ownership, assuming things, even if they're not, are my fault. You know, accepting that I was responsible for my shortcomings, and, you know, knowing that in this moment, I got the dumbbells, they're coming down, and I can either let them fall or go up for another rep and build more strength on seeing more in myself. And it's like, you know, do you try to pass things off as not your fault, or do you take over accountability? You know what I mean? And really understand that at any moment, because you can really build this shit for 80 years. And I'm young. A lot of our listeners are young. Any moment you can strive higher and see more in yourself, more resilience.
Absolutely. Well said. I think that's a mic drop. Leave it there. Listeners have hopefully received the message well. Let us know what you think in the comments. 10 episodes, Ro. Shake my hand. Okay, and I'll tell you, just within the context of this podcast, there was a moment where I think we hit a little wall. You get 6 episodes in. Yeah. We've now been here in the dog days of the summer. I love the summer, but we're each doing way different things for work, busy, different schedules. And I remember it was like we weren't seeing great results on necessarily our pods, and it was like, we got to record, I guess. But it was like
we're burnt out a little.
It was like, I don't know, are we gonna? And we, you know, action creates motivation, and we had to just stick with it. We both were in our ears like, yo, come on, remember what we said when it was easy to say how much we wanted to do this, and then it got hard a little bit, and we got in the moment where we're like,
right.
Dude, I don't know, this is a grind. I'm tired from work. Like, it's not like people really care if we post an episode. And I was like, no, we owe it to ourselves. Okay.
And also the next man. Like, we could have multiplied that voice, or we could have mutually reminded each other, yo, this is what we set out for. This is what we wanted to accomplish. Let's not forget that. Spirals up quickly.
Does.
Bang.
But 10 of them, bro.
Yes, sir.
10 of them.
Double digits, seeking triple digits.
Yeah. Yeah, how long will that be? 2025, 2026? Better start pumping them out.
I'm talking double digit apps, seeking double or triple digit subs.
Be the 100th. Be the 100th. Be the fucking 100th. Okay? And then tell a friend to then tell a friend.
Yeah.
And then make them the 200th. Okay? The Ace Place is only a growing community, and that's what we hope to foster here. It's a community, a conversational space. We want feedback. We want opinions. We don't know it all.
We don't.
That's a disclaimer. We know far from it all.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to make sense of what our experience is and what we've learned from lots of failures and some successes. Okay,
being students.
Would love to be students from our community if they would just leave a fucking comment once in a while. But you know what? It's all right. Again, it's a patient chase. It'll come.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.